Hi, I'm Dave Barnes.
And I'm John McLaughlin.
And welcome to Dadville.
Dadville is a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of awesome dadding.
It's funny thoughts and deep talks.
So please, enjoy your time here in Dadville and enjoy this episode with
Walker Zimmerman. Folks, this is a long time coming. It's been cooking. I know you've been so excited. You've been
Absolutely.
posting about it all the time, which means a lot to us. We are very excited to have Walker Zimmerman with us. There was John put it in the note, Walkey Zim Zim.
I like that. I haven't heard that one, but that's
like
original.
You haven't heard that one?
Walkey Zim Zim?
Yeah.
Not in that particular order.
when I was typing it out, I'm like, this is what came most naturally to me.
It feels right.
So I'm sure he's had this a million times, but no.
Here we are.
This is new
Walkey
ground.
Zim Zim.
It's first. So what we do is we start with what we call the brag sheet, and as you can see with my thumb, I'm scrolling through yours because it's aggressive here.
Yeah, you may have to pick and choose.
So I'm going to try to say this like as fast as I can because there's a lot of ground to cover here. Currently plays for Nashville SC. Get in the USMNT. Played for Furman in
Go
college.
Dens.
What is it?
Go Dens. Paladins.
Oh, it's Dens is short.
Dens is for short.
Is there a hand thing?
I don't
Do you
think.
have like a
No, it's a hand thing.
Is it like is it a bird? Do you have like the horns of the?
No. It's Paladins is like a knight. So I don't know.
I thought it was a bird.
No, Paladin. Paladin, not to be confused with a bird. It's a knight.
I skipped a lot of school.
Yeah,
I don't know if you knew that. I was Mississippi is great, but maybe not for schools. Okay, so go Dens. First team all conference, Southern Conference Freshman of the Year, NCAA's Men's All America second team. Okay, while you're there, drafted by FC Dallas. I didn't know this.
Mm-hmm.
Debuted, and that was in 2013. Debuted for the USMNT in 2017 against Jamaica. Named player of the match. I mean, it's a little.
This is quite the brag sheet here.
Well, we're only like
we're not even close.
Yeah. Okay, traded to Los Angeles FC in 2017. Won the Supporters Cup there in 19. 2020 was traded to Nashville SC, and you've been here since. I hope.
Which we just learned before we started recording that the day that you closed on your house was the day that the whole world shut down.
That's
that was
how
your
it's
welcome
easy,
to Nashville.
Easy to remember when I arrived. Yes.
Yeah.
Holy cow! Right at the beginning of
COVID. We had absolutely nothing in the house, and so we were, everyone's buying all their toilet paper and frozen peas, and we're like, we actually need some of those. Pretty badly.
Yeah, we don't have.
I'm gonna need more than one roll because we have zero.
We have zero.
So
what did you do to furnish and just everything online?
Oh yeah, and it was 6 months, 8 months. You know how it goes.
You're just living in an empty house.
Yeah, empty
for
house.
6 months.
Thankfully, we had the stuff that came from our previous apartment.
Yeah.
Apartment though.
Yeah, from an apartment. So we still had to get quite a bit of furniture.
Great.
Yes.
Like the one room.
We had the living room and our bedroom.
And you remember when your wife was like, Walker, should we take the toilet paper? And you're like, babe, no,
we don't need
of course
that.
not.
We don't need that.
Nashville is known for its copious amounts of toilet paper. Okay, so I didn't know that. That's crazy. Okay, so then awards. This is where this gets long. 2016 Supporters Shield, U.S. Open Cup, 19 Supporters Shield, MLS All-Star, MLS Best 11, 2020 MLS Best 11 and Defender of the Year, 2021 CONCACAF Gold Cup, get in, MLS All-Star and Defender of the Year, 2022 MLS All-Star, Best 11, and 2023 MLS All-Star. And I have to say that y'all played my team.
Arsenal, huh?
Oh, yeah. We're like,
wow.
We are big Arsenal fans, big Nashville SC fans, okay? It's a split.
It can work.
It can work.
It can happen.
But that game was funny because it was like with you and Hani, I was like, I don't know exactly who I'm.
Yeah.
How is this supposed to go for me?
Well, you're supposed to root for your friends, I think, first.
Touché.
Yeah.
Touché. That's how
so
that goes.
until you get Kai Havertz on the podcast, then.
Listen, I don't know what I would do physically if that happened. Like, I think John would just laugh at me, like, TTing.
We would have to have Dave on Zoom, and I could be there
John
in
could do it in person, yeah. Yeah, that would be a situation. So, also, now this to me was extra fun. So here's some fun facts. Once gave his car to the Nashville SC's assistant equipment manager. Is it true?
Really? That is true. That's a deep dive.
Was it a trade for toilet paper?
No, unfortunately. I mean, I should have.
Yeah.
That would have been more beneficial probably. But no, that was just that was a straight up.
That's
just
amazing.
A straight up,
yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, our producer, he puts these together, and he is a pro at these super. This, another one, I really want to hear you comment.
I'm a little nervous.
Perfected a method for getting the best dollars to tickets ratio at a Dave & Buster's. Won an Xbox and 2 PS4s with tickets.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Is that one night?
No, this is about a summer's worth.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's a whole. I mean, that'd be a whole other podcast. I could break it down for you, but
so you literally figured out these are the games to play for highest ticket output.
I can't take credit for it.
Okay.
We found it on Reddit. My middle brother and I. I'm the youngest, so my middle brother and I. One Christmas break, pretty bored. He stumbled across an Advantage player guide, Dave & Buster's. We're like, that sounds interesting. And essentially, I don't know if this is good for Dave & Buster's fans because their stock is about to plummet.
This is the hack. This is the hack.
This is the hack. Dave & Buster's on Wednesdays, for those who go, it's half-price games.
Okay.
On Wednesdays.
Okay. This starts to feel like Ocean's 11.
This is not good. I feel slightly bad about this. Any other day but Wednesday, you can go in, and if you sign up with an email, they give all the time 20 for 20 coupons. Similar to like the Bed Bath & Beyonds you always get in the mail, 20% off.
Yeah. I love
So you get 20 for 20 coupons.
Right.
That you can cash any day but Wednesday.
Right.
So we'd walk into the Dave & Buster's, and on a Tuesday, put, $20 down, they put $20 back. So now that 20 is now $40. We would just walk right out. You go back on Wednesday. That $20, for those who do math, is now worth $80.
$80.
All right, so now we're playing with some house money. You can make some money here. Then it goes to the Advantage Player Guide, and there was this user who broke down the games that actually take skill, all the skill games, and told you like the way to master them essentially.
Okay.
So we would walk in there, and we had a system down. We'd go in. I'll tell you. So in Dallas, I had a couple other buddies on the team. I shared all the info with them. Had to train them up in the games.
This is amazing.
Because when you go to jail, you want some friends with you.
100%.
You're not doing this alone.
I'm not alone in this. So our system was we'd show up at Chick-fil-A at 10:20. We had a lovely manager of the store named Debbie.
Okay.
And we're like,
we'll call her Debbie.
Wait, is Debbie in on this?
No.
Okay,
but this is just part of the tradition on Wednesdays.
Okay.
So we had night practice, by the way, at this point. So I wasn't skipping practice to win Xboxes at Dave & Buster's.
Is that because it's so hot?
It was so hot,
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Debbie, what do you do with all the breakfast, at 10:30? What do you do with the leftovers? She's like, oh, well, we're supposed to throw them away. I was like, well, look, if you ever are considering throwing them away, just know there are some hungry boys. We'd be happy to take it off your hands. Every Wednesday we show up. We'd order one thing off the menu. She'd come at 10:31, give us extra biscuits, hash browns, burritos.
Whatever.
The whole bit. Dave & Buster's opens at 11. So we'd be full. We go over to the mall.
Pre-gaming.
Yeah, we're pre-gaming Dave & Buster's. We get there. It's 11 o'clock.
This is amazing.
And we go straight to 2-minute drill. Pretty easy. You got to know the scores to jackpot. We're throwing the footballs.
Oh
we
my
jackpot
gosh.
it 500, 509, 519, 529. Go about 8 times. 250 tickets a pop. So that's like 2,000 tickets right away. The next one.
Are you going for a ticket count?
Yeah, usually it's 105,000 for an Xbox.
105,000.
I think 120,000 tickets for a PS4.
Which, just to give me some perspective, I'm not quite up on my Dave & Buster's game as you are. What's an average, you go and you play some, the basketball
shot or something?
Yeah, how many tickets are you getting?
I mean, 50.
It's a waste of time, right?
Yeah, it's a
you
waste
didn't
of
even
time.
look at the Papa Shot.
Yeah. No, you can't win. That is not in the Advantage Player Guide.
Okay.
So then after 2-minute drill, we'd go to Down the Clown. And this is the money maker here. They got 2 machines next to each other. And any kid, you got to reach into the other machine, grab the balls, put them in yours. Now you have more balls to throw.
Oh, my gosh.
And then there's a system of how to beat Down the Clown.
You're trying to knock them over.
And so we would knock it up from 500. We jackpot it to 900 pretty easily.
This is so.
And there were 2 machines. So after you jackpot one, you move all the balls, you run it back on the other one. So we'd get about 10,000 tickets off of just Down the Clown. Then I was an absolute savant at, if you remember Flappy Bird, there was an iteration Floppy Bird at Dave & Buster's.
Yes.
That was going for 1,000 tickets a pop on a jackpot. Do that 4 or 5 times. So now we're at 16,000, 17,000. And then there were some other, games that you could kind of tell what setting it was on based on, for example, tipping blocks. How fast the first block falls is the difficulty level.
This is amazing.
So we'd walk out of there, long story short, about 20,000 tickets.
Okay, a visit.
A visit. And so We did this for like basically the entire summer. That's how I got my Xbox One, and then I sold 2 PS4s to two kids in my small group from church that I was leading.
No.
Yeah, I gave them a discount, friendly
Mr.
discount.
Walker,
Sure.
How did you get
Yeah.
these? Like,
I love that you gave your car away to the equipment
But then
manager,
charged
you
them
sold
for a
the
discount.
N64.
Look, there was different points in my career here. All right, we were different stage.
Yeah.
That is hysterical.
Is this how you are with everything in life? Do you approach? Like, are you the guy who's like shutting your car off on a downhill to save money on gas to try to game the system?
Absolutely not. I would say I am making fun out of everything that I can, or making it a competition out of everything that I do.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's the side of me that hasn't changed, probably never will.
Yeah.
Is
like that's just baked in.
That fun, competitive, like I could do that all day.
So you would have been like the best camp counselor ever.
Yeah, probably.
Like if you had been in Kanakuk, they'd have been like, you got to get in Zimmerman's.
Yeah. I would imagine.
But
so.
it's fun. It's not. It feels like you're not going too far, where it's like it's ruining your day if you can't hit whatever goal you had.
Right. It just depends on what it is. If it's like obviously my job or sports, then yeah, I get a little competitive and carried away. But I think the priority is fun, and fun for me is competing. So it's lucky for me that that my job is so fun for me because I just love competing so much.
Yeah, that's great. So, okay, then here's the last of these. Nationally ranked on N64 Golf.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Mario Golf, yeah. I mean, it's unofficial because I'm not going to take the time to set up, like, the recording device that makes it, like, you can officially submit your records into the system.
Right.
I'm just looking at the top scores in the world and saying, okay, like, I've tied this score like 3 times. I've tied the third place score on Toad Highlands in Mario Golf 3 times. 23 under.
Toad Highlands. What a gorgeous course.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's
especially this time of year.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Do both of us even need to be here? Just one of us could be here.
Yeah, please.
Anyway. Sometimes, though, I mean, the weather can get a little dicey.
It can.
You get a lot of wind. You got a lot of wind.
That part
a lot
of the
of rain. A lot of rain.
That you have to deal with.
You gotta overcome it.
And you can't predict that, right? Like
you can't. So you just gotta know it might not be a record run if the conditions aren't there for you.
Or you just reset.
You reset so fast. I mean, by hole 3, you know exactly where you stand.
Yeah, and then you reset.
And you just start over.
You start over. Okay, so John and I laughed so hard about this before you came on. One of my goals in life has just been to sit with a professional soccer player. Like literally, this is kind of
goals in life.
Literally, I'm not kidding. You're gonna laugh because if you think about
it can't be overstated. I want to say on Dave's behalf, Dave is a massive soccer fan.
Yeah, like I love soccer.
Yeah.
So as you can imagine, with what I do for a living, I actually brush up against a lot of professional people, like sports and NFL and whatever. It is somehow soccer is like the one place that it's just I don't interact with people in that world much. And so knowing
I think you've been flagged on a lot of like security.
That's totally fair. Yeah, they won't let me in some of the stadiums. So today it was like, oh my gosh, the convergence. This is it. This is like the moment.
2 worlds collide.
2 worlds collide, right? They collide. So here, so knowing you're going to be on, I was like, okay. And John laughed so hard at me because I was like, they're just questions that I have to ask. And so it's like, at what point do we ask these questions? Do we get it out of the way? Do we just sort of like, and then we move on? So we're kind of, it's going to be
full on assault.
It's
so
just
what? What I propose
trial through fire
for those listening who maybe aren't as in the weeds of professional soccer. I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set a timer.
Yeah,
and we're just going to let Dave run
because we're going to do like a speed round.
Let Dave live this.
I love
dream.
Because we will, if it goes the way I want to, listeners will just as quickly as they can be understood. Because like Dave is just, how does this have anything to do with anything but just pleasuring all the? I was about to say pleasure.
Yeah, let's back out of that. Let's back out of that.
Cut that out.
And the timer is set.
Okay, so here we're gonna do kind of
4 hours.
Just because we got to get this out of the way for me. Okay. Okay. So first question: best player you've played with?
Played with. That is really hard.
I can't imagine.
I'm going to go with my good buddy and pal, Christian Pulisic.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Tell me why.
I think he's extremely underrated, even though I know he has a lot of hype.
Wow.
When you see him in like small-sided, his ability to beat you off the dribble 1v1 is next level. It's elite.
Wow.
And, his first couple steps, his quickness, his vision is what sets him apart, and people don't always realize that.
Like you'll see the Nashville SC, USMNT, Arsenal, whatever. They'll put up today's training, and it's always small. It's so much of it is a small 5-a-sides.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Yeah, it causes you to make, you get a lot more actions on the ball. So if it's 11v11, you're only touching the ball, 50, 60 times a game.
Right.
Small-sided, you're always moving. You're always put in positions where you have to react, think fast, put in those like 1v1
And are you guys
situations.
saying that you're taking 5 guys and putting them in a smaller field?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
5 versus 5 on a much smaller field.
Yeah. So it's more intense actions that replicate like the moments where you have to be intense in the game.
Yeah.
And it's just you get more reps.
And it still translates onto a natural game.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
For sure.
That is fascinating. Yeah. This is already – oh, my God, that's awesome. Okay, so best player you played against?
I always say, there's been a lot of talented players that have come over from Europe and played in the MLS. But for me, it was starting – and I don't know if it's because I was younger and maybe not as seasoned, but Obafemi Martins, back when he played for Seattle. Yeah. It was an amazing Seattle team at the time. Clint Dempsey and him had quite the combo. But Obafemi Martins for me was extremely difficult to defend.
Wow.
He had everything. He had pace, he had touch, he had aerial ability, physicality. And so he was a handful for sure.
So even in that, like the World Cup that y'all were just in,
yes,
like any of those guys, any of the friendlies with any of those kind of guys.
I mean, they're all extremely talented. Yeah. Like Harry Kane, Memphis Depay. I mean, these are top level superstars. But I think part of it is probably I was younger at the time. It was more of a challenge at the time.
Right.
But he really stood out for me as being a complete player.
God, I'm on the verge of tears.
Good, Dave. John.
Oh.
You're really
good,
fast.
Dave.
Good, Dave. Good Dave, sunshine.
It's a good day.
Or it's
That's a new song.
Good Dave, sunshine. There it is. So, John.
Dave.
Look at the size of this thing, man.
Oh, my. That's incredible.
Yeah, thanks.
How much does that thing hold? 30? 32?
No, you got it.
33?
Keep going
34?
up. 40,
35?
John.
40?
40 ounces of ice-cold beverage in this Trek tumbler from, guess what? Simple Modern.
I knew it.
Yep.
My lands, that's impressive. I mean, it makes you more impressive just standing there, just holding it.
I don't need a lot of help, but sure.
Right.
Not going to argue with that all the same, John. And this Trek tumbler, along with all of Simple Modern's amazing products, is available at Target, Walmart, Amazon, and on simplemodern.com, where you can get an exclusive Dadville discount.
That's right. Dave, they have so much great stuff. Look, you can get backpacks, drinkware, lunch bags, and
let me guess.
You're going to love this.
Yeah.
Guess. Go ahead.
Disney?
No, don't guess. I want to tell you. They have Disney, Marvel, NCAA, and NFL designs. Oh, and you can even personalize the items. I know how you love personalizing everything.
Yes.
And you can add your company logo.
For those who are listening who have a company, you can add that logo right there. Maybe the best part is that Simple Modern gives 10% of its profits to organizations committed to causes like solving the water crisis, fighting human trafficking, or helping underprivileged communities.
All right, I think it's time that we order some personalized Dadville Trek tumblers from Simple Modern. You in?
I mean, in like Flint. You know it, Johnny boy. Go to simplemodern.com/Dadville. That's simplemodern.com/Dadville. And by sharing your email, you'll get a unique discount code just for you. Or bundle and save for back to school. This should be your go-to brand for your family. John.
Oh, Dave. Oh, sorry.
Do you hear that sound?
Are you messing with me right now?
John, first of all, always. And second, that's the sound of a sale you just missed out on. Because you're not selling on Shopify.
I had that on my to-do list.
Yeah, well, if you'd have remembered, here's what it sounds like with Shopify.
Oh, that sounds so much better.
Yeah, buckle up because here's some info. Okay. Shopify is the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide.
I know. You know what, Dave? I knew about that because I've used Shopify for years. Whether you are a garage entrepreneur or IPO ready, Shopify is the only tool you need to start, run, and grow your business without the struggle.
Shopify puts you in control of every sales channel. So whether you're selling satin sheets from Shopify's in-person POS system or offering organic olive oil, we're doing alliteration here, John, on Shopify's all-in-one e-commerce platform, we got you covered.
Yeah. And once you've reached your audience, Shopify has the internet's best converting checkout to help you turn them from browsers to buyers.
B2B.
I'll go with you on that
No,
alliteration.
you will. What's incredible to me about Shopify is how no matter how big you want to grow, Shopify is there to empower you with the confidence and control to take your business to the next level.
Dave, did you know this? That Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S.?
Whoa.
Did you know that?
I didn't.
And Shopify is truly a global force, powering Allbirds, Rothy's, Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 170 countries.
I was going to guess 117.
That's like almost all the countries.
Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. This is Possibility, powered by Shopify.
Sign up right now for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Dadville, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Dadville to take your business to the next level today.
Shopify.com/Dadville.
Favorite career moment for you?
Favorite career moment is it's probably still a playoff game against Seattle when I was with Dallas. And it was kind of like a breakout moment for me, I would say, where subbed on late. We, were in the playoffs against a top Seattle team. We were down, and in the last minute I scored an equalizer to force it to extra time, and then also made the winning PK. So it was like a double dip, like I got the game tying goal in the last minute, and then the game winning goal in PKs.
Right.
That's amazing.
And so for a center back, you just dream of scoring goals.
Right.
And so to get kind of to
Did you always play center back?
After about 14.
Okay.
So up until that point, I was kind of all over the place. Center mid, center back.
But always defense.
I would always go up at the end of games if we were tied or losing.
Really?
I would always go up and be a forward and just try and cause some trouble up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have such good touch. I feel like, too, the thing that I always laugh with my friends who played like at a collegiate level, they say it is comical how much, like if you were a forward in high school but you play collegiate, you're always a defender, because real forwards are so good and so unique that guys who were, a left wing in college and high school, or in high school, they're immediately like a, left wing, defender, because those real forwards are so...
They're lethal in the box, for sure. And I think for me, a lot of it's just that aerial presence at the end of games, especially when you're down. It allows a more direct option. So even if I'm not the guy who's scoring, it just creates a different threat to be able to get the ball and win the first header to create some trouble. So,
which I feel like soccer, to me, I can't think of another sport where it's like, I mean, the guy who scored the goal or girl who scored the goal, that might have been amazing. But I feel like half the time the assist is or the pass 2 passes ago is more impressive.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what exposes the defense to even put them in a position.
Yeah.
Is the cleverness of what happened before.
So in that game, that breakout game for you in Seattle, when you scored that goal late in the game and then you scored the penalty kick, are you like, I'm finally showing the world who I am, and I knew this before the game? Or were you like, I'm kind of discovering like my potential in real time?
I think I've always been the guy of believing in myself and saying, like, I have this chip on my shoulder. Like, this is why I should be playing more.
Yeah.
This is why I should have had the opportunity. It's because I've always believed. And, it's funny. If you are brothers, I think this is all just conditioned from growing up.
Especially the youngest.
It is, being the youngest. I'm the youngest of 3. And then also I was the youngest on my street. And we had a super athletic, like, everyone went and played college sports.
Oh, dang.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
Did your
pretty
brothers?
wild. Yes. Well, my
Really?
oldest did. My middle one just decided he wanted to be an intramural legend over at Georgia GCSU and just destroyed
Dominate.
everyone.
Yes. What did your oldest brother do?
He punted for Clemson.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So we grew up.
Does that mean he grew up playing soccer and then
He did,
punted?
yeah. And he had the craziest leg of all time playing soccer. I mean,
Wow.
I watched him, like, U16 score 2 free kicks from behind half field.
What?
Wow.
Not even like chipping the goalie, just like ropes.
Yeah.
He would take goal kicks sometimes and just put them in the other box. It was outrageous. I've never seen anything like it.
Well, I always think whenever there's any like high pressure moment of any sport, I mean, I'm of course putting myself in the player's shoes, and I'm like, I wouldn't want the ball. I would want to win the game, but I don't want that ball. But
That's
I'm like,
why we do what we do.
that's why I'm not on the pitch.
We joke around because we say it's like we've developed a clutch gene.
Yeah.
And I think it's just we care so much about beating each other
Yeah.
that we've felt like that pressure. So we joke around like the best example is if we're playing darts in the garage and we're playing, you finally get to the bullseye. The other person hits the bullseye. They think they've won, but you get your redemption darts. It's like all of a sudden your odds of hitting the bullseye go from like 5% to like 80%. It's just like that they're going to hit it. And so now we laugh because when we're with our groups of friends and we're all living in different cities, it's like, we'll have a putt on the 18th green from like 20 feet. And again, that percentage, it goes down for a lot of people. It goes up for us.
You just see your brother's faces on all your friends.
We'll have group texts and be like, dude, my friends are freaking out. They can't believe like I just did this. I'm like, yep, sounds about right. Like I've seen it before.
You were bred to
I've seen it before. So we've definitely been conditioned
amazing.
a little bit.
A player you would still like to face?
I mean, I still haven't faced Messi, and that's coming soon, end of August.
I mean, that's got to be on everybody in the MLS's mind. Like,
100%.
right,
Yeah, as soon as
my moment's coming.
As soon as he signed, I'm sure everyone looked at their calendar immediately.
To find out
like
when.
I did.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, end of August. Here we go.
That is crazy. Is there anybody else other than him?
I mean, he's definitely at the top of the list, but I think I would love to face Haaland. You see what he's been doing in Man City this past year, and you're like, man, it's pretty impressive for such a young player.
Well, too, y'all's size would be interesting.
Size would be interesting. I mean, he's insanely fast.
Yeah.
Really good in the air. Just a fun battle.
He
I'm
feels
just curious,
like he was made in a lab. It's just he is such a weird congruence of so many qualities in a player that are never all, especially the height.
Yep.
Yeah. Are you tall for soccer? Are you taller?
Yeah,
than most
I would
soccer
say so. Yeah.
You're like 6'3"?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can tell me, obviously, because you do it, but I feel like international players especially tend to be like the Latin American players tend to be a little smaller. And then, you'll see some of the Nordic guys that are monsters, but they're always defenders.
Right.
So it's really rare to Haaland's point that you have these tall, fast,
typically
big strikers.
Yeah. You're going to have, if you're above like 6'3", you're only playing two positions or three positions. You're playing striker, center back, or goalie.
That's exactly right.
It's
That's
very,
exactly right.
very rare to see someone else.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, that one. Is there what is if it may be Haaland's it, but if you could put together the hardest type of player to mark, what is that little?
For me, it's actually I enjoy going up against the bigger physical strikers. I think that's like a fun challenge.
Huh.
I think it's more the guys who are extremely explosive, very good 1v1, quickness. Those are typically more difficult for me. The straight out speedsters rather than the guys that you just kind of
I feel like Hani is kind of that, right?
Yeah, Hani is, but I wouldn't say he's like extremely fast.
Okay,
he's not like he's just very technical.
Yep.
Amazing finisher. But I'm thinking of like more explosive. Honestly, like the wingers who we had Saka the other night watching him play. It's like if he was lined up in the middle, that'd be a different type of test than than a big striker.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So it's really quick.
Like if they're running at you with time and space, and they're going to throw in some moves, and also have the pace to get by you. I mean, that's a tough ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be on your A game.
Yeah, you go to the coach. Hey, look,
I'm going to add.
You got to be organizing the guys around you.
Yeah, well said.
To help prevent the situation from getting
because it's going to happen.
South. Yeah.
If it's, okay. Oh, random question. Do you watch much soccer? I'm always fascinated by this.
I watch some MLS.
Okay.
I would say I'm on the definitely lower percentile of soccer players who watch soccer.
Yeah.
I'm not waking up every morning watching the Prem.
Right.
That's just not how I've grown up. I think part of that was, again, the household I grew up in. We were watching all the other sports, basketball, football.
Yeah.
We're going out there trying to make SportsCenter top 10 moments and shooting the ball over the hoop, over the backyard,
all
over the house.
Perfect stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not watch because I do feel like that's more common than which I mean, you even think about what we do for a living. Like I feel like a lot of our friends aren't like rocking every live show they can go to. You know what I mean?
No.
It's
it's
when you do it, it's got to be.
We watch a lot of video at the club, so you're seeing like all the scout, all the other teams. I do enjoy like the tactical side of things, where if we're doing a scout for another team, or when I had a stint, I was doing some volunteer assistant coaching at UCLA.
Yes,
and like when you're like in the coaching perspective and you're examining film from a tactical point of view, I love that.
Yeah.
I love getting into
cool.
to that side of things.
Do you feel like that helped your next season as a player a lot? Kind of honing those coaching skills?
I mean, probably a little bit. Just like refining why you believe what you believe when it comes to your tactics.
Yeah.
And it's fun to now work with younger players who are in my position and explain why I do things the way that I do.
Wow, that's so cool.
And like, well, this is why I created this angle. It's because look what it did to this
Yes.
guy, and it opens
Yeah.
up this passing
Yeah.
lane.
Yeah.
Or like, why didn't you drive at the player first to then commit him before you pass it?
Yeah,
Like, I don't know, just different little things
Yeah.
that you pick up along the
Yep.
way. That stuff I could talk about all day.
Enjoy, yeah.
That's
yeah.
got to be so weird to be so young, but be like the seasoned vet of whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
Because that happen. Like for most people, it's like you get into your 50s,
Yeah.
your
Right.
60s, and then you're like the seasoned guy at the firm or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But you're 30 years old, and that happens so fast. I mean, just
Yeah.
5-6 years ago, you were one of the younger guys.
Right.
Now you're one of the older guys.
It is crazy. I mean, it just goes to show how short, your career is.
Well, and I
Yeah.
want to
And-
ask about that
Yeah.
later, but I still have so many speed rounds.
Let's go.
This is still
I
a
forgot
speed round.
this was a speed round.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
added some more time just because I've been eating it.
the judges,
eating away.
the judges being so kind this morning. Okay, and literally the next thing I have is just World Cup all caps question mark
Yeah.
exclamation point.
Yeah.
I mean, like what you can say anything you want after that, but just like what is that like?
Amazing experience. I think the feeling of pride for a lot of different reasons. One, like the whole idea of representing your country on the biggest stage that
Yeah.
you can. It's immense pride, especially when you realize how rare it is
Yeah.
to make it.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I told the story recently. It's probably gotten out there a little bit. If they found Dave & Buster's, they probably found this. But, the night before our first game, we had a team meeting, and Greg was, when you guys get back to your room, there's going to be a jersey. It's going to be on your bed. And in the bottom corner, it's going to have a number on it. That's your unique World Cup number.
Jeez.
Mine was 152. I was the 152nd player to ever represent the United States in World Cup. That's not even play.
insane.
That's not even play. That's not even
Yeah.
start. That's
Yeah.
not even a center back
That's just to
starting.
be there.
That's just number of people who have ever represented the U.S. And I'm like, 152? Like, that is not a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it really put into perspective in that
Wow.
moment, like what an amazing accomplishment that was.
Incredible.
And so that's the pride part of representing the country. Then there's the whole pride part of like all of the sacrifice of yourself that you've asked of your
Yeah.
body to get to where you are, combined with the sacrifice of all your family and friends. I mean, that's the part about the World Cup that I'll remember the most is, that night, that feeling of pride, and then the appreciation factor of walking out first game. I remember the feeling like getting through the match day -1 training session before Wales. I knew I was going to be starting, and I got through it healthy. And I'm like, all right, like I'm going to do it. I'm going to accomplish my dream of playing a World Cup. And walking out there, seeing all the friends and family section, and it sounds so cliche, but you're like literally, how can I soak in this moment and appreciate like the sacrifice of every person involved in my journey?
That's great.
I mean, it's so powerful to think of that's the only way you could make it to where you were like in that moment.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
incredible. I mean, I can't. I mean, it gives me chills even hearing you talk about that. But but how kind and benevolent to remember, like for you to get there, that is a lot of people contributing
100%.
a lot of time and sacrifice to get you there.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's humbling to know that they, parents, family, friends give up all of that time and effort to support you is
God, that's cool.
is pretty special.
How long did you have jitters at all?
Honestly, no.
Wow.
Not really. I mean, it was more the excitement, the anticipation of playing. But I think, in those moments, it's still a calm and competitive.
Yeah, you've
you know,
done this.
This is what
That's right.
This is what I
That's
feel
right.
like I was born to do.
Right.
That is so
Like, let me step
awesome.
into it.
Yeah.
You've said so many things that are just a great example of the difference.
Difference. I was
between
going to say the same thing.
I'm like, I would be like, is there a place where I can just throw up throughout the game? Where is that? I don't want it to be on the field. Can I?
They have it boxed off
Yeah.
for all the nervous players.
So I have a question. At what point did you realize that you were like the 0.001% of soccer talent?
I would say in terms of soccer, things really changed for me probably the summer between 7th and 8th grade.
Huh.
It was, it's changed a lot, the landscape of youth soccer. But at that time, your path to the national team went through a thing called ODP,
Yeah.
Olympic Development Program. So the goal was you make your state team, and then you go to a region camp. You make your region team, which was like the Southeast for me. And then if you make the region team, you go to a national team pool identification where there's like 120 players, U14, players from all over the country, and they were looking for like the top 36 basically players to then call into the youth national team for that year.
Jeez.
And so I went there and ended up making, the U14 national team and pretty much involved my whole way through. But I think in that moment, it was after making that team that I then gave up baseball. I gave up basketball.
Because you were playing all that stuff.
I was playing all that stuff. And I was like, I've always wanted to be a professional athlete. That is ingrained like in who I was as a kid from as long as I can remember. And it was at that moment I was like, my best chance of doing that is soccer.
Wow.
And so that was, a pretty pivotal summer for me that really changed things in terms of how I approached, soccer and trying to achieve becoming a pro.
Was that a decision that you made as a 7th grader? Like, okay, I'm going to have to cut away these distractions.
Yeah.
I'm just focusing on soccer.
Yeah. And I kind of had an inkling that was approaching. So I remember that spring right before that, I was playing baseball and I was just like, curveballs, who cares? Like, you're not supposed to throw them when you're a kid. And I was just like, wheeling and dealing. My elbow could do no wrong.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So I kind of knew that spring heading into that baseball was going to be done. And then unfortunately I was looking forward to playing middle school basketball. And I was like, I was going to miss half the games then with like the travel with the national team. I was like, I can't play.
Feels like even I've been watching pretty closely soccer for probably 13 or 14 years. And since I have watched it, I can feel the growth in the States, and I am on the sidelines. You know what I mean? If not like the press box, as far as you can be. What is it like? Can you feel that being in the middle of it? Like, what has that been like as because you've grown with it?
Yeah.
Your career's kind of like been right at the same arc as the growth in the States.
For sure. I think looking at, a couple different factors that, can confirm that statement is definitely the quality of play in the MLS has improved drastically in the last decade since I've been involved. You look at the depth of rosters from top to bottom, and it's just improving.
Yeah.
You're attracting, better players, younger players that have quality that are now choosing to come to MLS rather than going abroad. The spend has increased. The valuation of all the teams and the clubs has increased, drastically. And now, obviously, with Messi coming, with Copa America, World Cup, I mean, it just seems primed for an absolute explosion in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to be pretty unprecedented because it's grown at an astronomical rate already. And then to think about what it's going to look like 5-10 years from now, I'm pretty excited about what's happening in the U.S.
Well, it's so exciting as a fan watching the national team too, because now with all the dual nationality guys, I mean, the teams are like I would say where you guys are heading. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud to someone who's on the team. I am on FIFA, just FYI. Create a character. I'm really good. No, but like, our squad is, you guys are poised for this next World Cup to be a serious problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where the ages are of everybody, the skill sets. Like, I mean, we have I think it's I personally think it's the best team we probably ever had. If you look pound for pound.
100%.
And then in the next, years before the World Cup, it's just going to get better as we pull in more talent that's not just locally, but, these guys who are dual nationalities. And so it's so fun as a fan because you're like, man, we are good. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I mean? Because I think that's always been the thing with U.S. soccer has been, so much of the national talent goes to so many other sports. It's just so bifurcated, And now it feels like, man, we're like, this is a legitimate way that kids can grow up and make a career or, do this as a legitimate thing. And it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think we have the most players like playing at top leagues, top teams in the world than we ever have.
Yeah.
The age you mentioned is ripe. Guys are going to be in their prime now with most likely World Cup experience under their belt.
Yeah.
And then you look at the prospects that haven't even come through or integrated into the full team yet. Yeah. I mean, we're going to have for sure 2 or 3 more guys that are going to evolve here in the next 3 years that are going to play a major role in the World Cup in 2026.
Oh, hey, Dave. Sorry.
John, you okay?
It's just I've been having trouble sleeping lately.
Listen, I don't mean for this to be offensive, and I don't want you to read into anything that I'm asking.
I feel like I'm going to be offended, and I'm going to read into it. Go ahead.
What is your bedtime routine?
Oh, okay. Well, you sound judgy already.
Okay.
It's like normal.
Just walk me through it.
Okay, first I go to the kitchen.
Okay.
Make an espresso. Yeah. Then I go to my room. I set the espresso on my nightstand.
Okay.
Make sure not to use the bathroom because I just want to get to bed.
Yeah.
Even if I feel like I have to go, I don't go. And then I keep all my clothes on, lay on the top of the covers.
Yeah.
Turn the TV on at a pretty high volume.
Okay.
Then I grab my phone, start sipping the espresso, doom scroll, and I cannot sleep a lick.
Okay. Again, I don't mean to offend, but I think you're doing the opposite of everything you should do. And I mean, globally, everything you're doing is wrong. And
really?
Guess what? Yes,
okay.
And guess what?
Yeah.
I have a better plan for you.
All right, tell me.
You got to try the Hatch Restore.
Ah, the Hatch Restore.
Think of it this way, John. It's your bedtime sleep guide, your ally in rest. You see that? The innovative all-in-one dream machine, which is ironically what they called me in high school, is a sophisticated sound machine, light, and alarm clock, beautifully designed for your bedside table.
I like everything you were saying about the Hatch Restore. Good rest allows me to be the best version of myself, and right now I'm not the best version of myself, Dave. But you've seen me at my best. It's amazing.
You're beautiful. You're just
Which is why the Hatch Restore was engineered to help me form healthy sleep habits for life.
That's right, John. Your Hatch teaches your body when it's time to sleep and when it's time to rise with light and sound cues. It coaches you through meditations and mindfulness exercises that transform the time before and after sleep into, guess what?
Restful rituals.
You said it.
I love alliteration.
You said it,
Dave,
yeah.
I can't wait to try it. And right now, did you know this? Hatch is offering our listeners $20 off.
do it.
That's two $10 bills.
That's right.
$20 off your first purchase of a Hatch Restore and free shipping at hatch.co/Dadville.
Sleep deeply and wake gently with the Restore. Go to hatch.co/Dadville and get $20 off and free shipping.
That's hatch.co/Dadville.
John.
Dave?
Oh, gosh. I can tell it scared you.
Yeah, you startled me.
Whenever we interview a professional athlete like Walker Zimmerman,
Walkey Zim
or
Zim.
as we call him, yes, the Walkey Zim Zim, I got to admit, I start thinking a little bit about my daily routine and whether or not it will affect the possibility, maybe small, and it may be big, John. I don't want to do that. That's God's business. That I may yet become a professional soccer player. So, like always, I took my AG1 with a side of hope by Athletic Greens this morning, and I'm feeling like it may be my time. It feels like that to me this morning.
Yeah, look, Dave, AG1 is good. It's really good. I love it. I don't know if it's going to make you a striker for Nashville SC.
Oh, I see. So that's the energy we're doing this morning, huh, John?
But listen, here's what AG1 can do for you, though.
Okay,
it gives your
listening.
body the nutrition that it's craving all the time.
yeah.
Like I took my AG1 today, too.
Ooh,
Okay, so we're the same. Just one scoop a day, mixed in a glass of ice cold water, and 75
Good
vitamins,
gracious.
minerals, and whole food source ingredients are headed my way.
AG1 gives us gut and mood support, John. Boosted energy and even healthier looking skin. Your
skin looks
by the way.
amazing.
Hair glowing, by the way, and nails longer than ever. And it eliminates the stress of trying to keep up with a supplement routine that comes with a bunch of different products.
Oh, I know. It's the healthiest thing you can do in under a minute. I've said that my whole life.
You have. Plus, AG1 is delivered to you every month, so it's easy to make a daily habit.
That's right, but Dave, you know what I do?
What?
I get the single-serving travel packs.
Ooh.
You don't have to stay in one place, so I never have to miss a day. No
Do
matter.
you take them in different parts of the house?
Oh, you can take them anywhere.
Whoa.
Yeah, you can take them like in the West Wing kitchen or in the East Wing kitchen. I just mix the powder into the ice cold water and drink it first thing each morning. That's it. No matter where I am.
Man, those travel packs can come in handy when my team has long road trips and I'm playing striker for Arsenal or Nashville SC.
Okay.
Or both.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a busy year.
I'll drive you to tryouts whenever you need to go.
Thank you.
Look, if you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free, you
What?
heard me right,
Shut your mouth.
FREE, 1 year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. You can go to 5 away games. Dave.
Listen, I'm about to get bossy, but go to athleticgreens.com/Dadville, everybody.
I'm going to join you.
Yep.
That's athleticgreens.com/Dadville. Check it out.
One of the things that I'm always so fascinated. We've had, there professional athletes on the show that I'm always so interested. I'd love to hear you speak to is like, and you mentioned this earlier with how, as John was asking about, you're already sort of like one of the seasoned vets, even at 30. How do you think, like, when you're doing this as a profession, how do you think about this season in your life? How do you then think about like what you want to do afterwards? Is that something that you've always been thinking about, or is that like, I'm going to get stuck in for the years I'm doing it and then I'll kind of figure that out later? Like, how do you think about that?
I think for me, I've always been extremely success driven and focused on full picture of life.
Wow.
And I think one of the things I'm learning the most, especially the past 5-10 years, is I have a lot of time on my hands.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I work really hard. I don't get weekends. I don't really get an off season.
Right.
But day to day, I mean, we have a pretty unique opportunity to have extra time in the day to do things. So when I turned pro at 19, the first thing I did was I had to finish my college education.
Oh, wow.
So I finished online. You know, I promised my father-in-law, like, look, I promise.
I love
I'll
not your
get it
father,
done.
but your father-in-law.
I'll get it done. I promise I'll get it done. At the Panera when I asked for Sally's hand in marriage. So what's your plan B if this doesn't work out?
Where now this real quick side road. Where was your career when you what is he seeing when he looks at you?
He's seeing me in my third or fourth season in Dallas.
Okay.
Kind of like, you know, playing a lot, not quite like full-time starter.
Okay.
Or maybe I was just becoming, you know. I think this was the off season after the breakout game. Good timing.
Yeah.
And so I think, but it was, you know, it was fine. I'd like established myself. I was knew I was gonna get renewed in a contract, like still stable.
Where were you with the national team at this point?
Not yet on the national team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's looking at a kid that's like, look, he's got good promise.
They're like, oh, great, you're dating a college dropout. He wants to go pro. That's cool.
I love that spin. That's the other spin. It's not like he's playing professional.
And they're very academically driven. You know, he's a doctor.
Okay.
Education is extremely important to them, as it should be. And so I was like, yeah, I promise you, I will get my degree for sure.
Would you have?
I would have regardless.
Okay.
One, because to coach college soccer, you need to have a college degree, and that was kind of like one of my plan Bs.
Yeah.
So all that to say, while I've been playing, I have a lot of time in the day to do things, and I think one of the things I'm most passionate about is capitalizing on that time and making sure I'm becoming the best individual I can be and not being content with just being an athlete.
Wow.
So first thing I did was get my college degree. The next thing I did was I got my USB coaching license.
Oh, cool.
Through US Soccer. I did that 2 years ago.
Wow.
And then currently I'm studying.
Is that an hours thing?
It is, but
and
you
then
also
tests
and in-person and training hours and film. And then now currently I'm studying to get my CFP.
Oh, nice.
So studying to become a certified financial planner, mainly just for the education of my own.
Yeah.
Like I want to know what I'm doing with my own finances. I want to be literate. It's not something I grew up.
Yep.
You know, my parents didn't know much about it.
Yep.
I want to have, you know, my family raised like being able to support them in that role.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anything's going to come from that, if I want to end up using it. But I'm just creating more options for myself.
Yeah.
And trying to become a more well-rounded individual and capitalize on this unique season of my life that, yes, it's very hard. There's a lot of sacrifice. I can't go to anyone's weddings or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I do have time in the day. So how can I use that time in the day to, you know,
That's amazing that
work.
you're that intentional about it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is one of the things that our job is not exactly the same, but it is somewhat the same in that, you know, I think a lot of artists, your most successful years are kind of your first decade.
Yep.
And then, you know, you can tour and do your things, but while you're still novel is when you're king.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, I've never heard this sound before, his voice or her voice, of these, you know. And so as you do it longer, you know, it just kind of gets harder and harder to keep doing it. So I always have an eye on the athletic space because I'm always like, that's kind of how, I mean, I don't feel like that, but there is something congruent with sort of like, you know, a lot of friends that we know that we started with don't do it anymore because it's just kind of get to either you have family and you can or whatever.
And the travel, obviously,
yes,
the same with athletics and music. I mean, you're on the road for I'll never forget. I spent more time away Tucker's first year. I was gone more than 6 months of his first year.
Wow.
And I know that was a unique season because of, you know, World Cup qualifying and COVID kind of condensing that. But, I mean, it was not easy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, man, I want to get all of this extra stuff done while they're babies.
Right.
While, like, they can't really fully interact yet. And they won't remember me as being, like, so busy while I'm getting this done. So I think that's why I'm so focused on, like, all right, next 18 months, I got to grind out this CFP.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're not going to remember this time of me being so busy.
Right.
And then I'll have that to fall back on and be able to spend more time with them, hopefully, in the long run.
That's so smart.
It is really smart.
Intentional.
Do you feel like would you like to stay in the sports world post playing?
Yeah, I go back and forth. Like I look at coaching and I see a lot of things that I would enjoy about it, and then some of the things that I don't think I would enjoy as much. So part of that being time spent with family. You know, it is a lot of travel still if you're coaching, especially at a professional level.
Yep.
But I look at the college side of it, I'm like, I would love to develop, you know, young men to become the best version of themselves in those pivotal years of college.
Right.
And I'm like, that excites me.
Yeah.
The teaching them and helping them actually learn in college about the game excites me.
Yeah.
So I look at that definitely as an option. And then certainly, you know, doing this financial course is pretty eye-opening. I'm like, man, I do enjoy this. I enjoy numbers. I enjoy the math side of things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think giving yourself multiple avenues and also learning about what you really love while you're kind of still having
this is the time to do it. I
is
think
important.
that's what I always grieve is any of those stories you hear were like, and rightfully so, like you got your head down for those whatever years you're doing it because it's, you know, it's what you're doing. You want to be the best at it, but you sort of realize like as the end of that career comes, you know, you're sort of like, I didn't even really think about this. And now, you know, I'm sort of staring at really the huge, bigger part of my life, the next potentially 50, 60 years, and going like, oh, I just forgot that there was going to be sort of life after sports. And then, you know, they're doing what you're doing, but like then. And so, you know.
And again, then the kids are older and they're like, well, why are you doing this now? You know?
Exactly.
Where are you?
Well, and you know the thing
Who are you?
Dad?
Yeah. Is that who Dad is? Point, Mom. But like.
So can I keep the parallel going with how our life is exactly like
so
Walker's
much like
life?
his. So much.
So when I was starting out in music, I remember being so hyper-focused on like how I would wake up on the morning of a show and be like, how does my throat feel? It kind of hurts a little bit. And then all of a sudden, like my wrists would hurt a little bit. And I'm like, I feel like I would be like hyper focused on those two. You know, I just need my hands for piano and my throat for singing. And then now that I've been doing it for 15, 16 years, they still hurt, you know. But I'm just like, it just doesn't faze me anymore.
Yeah.
So, and I wonder, like, when you were talking about earlier, as you were leading up to the World Cup, I think about this all the time with athletes, especially when it comes time, like the Olympics and stuff. And it's like, you have worked so hard to get to this point, and then you might slip on some stairs and then twist your ankle.
You mentioned this. This is where the empathy in me grows so much, is when I read, and you said this, when someone is doing a warm-up before a game, and all of a sudden they get a knock. That is when I'm like, that has to be the most soul-crushing moment, especially like at an international level or like Champions League or what, like you're playing for the playoffs and it's like Nashville SC, we got to win the game to get to move on.
Yeah, I think to your point, I mean, World Cup and Olympics, what makes those so unique is they're every 4 years. And so not only do those events not happen often, but your window of opportunity.
And 4 years for an athlete.
Most people are usually only doing that 1 or 2 times max.
Wow.
So to completely like lose your opportunity because of an accident or an incident that happens, you're right. It was the most stressful probably 6 months prior to the World Cup in terms of my body. And I was, dealing with a ton of stuff, as you could probably imagine, but like not in good shape. Like really struggling for the months leading into the World Cup.
Really?
I mean, then you
because you're probably always in pain a little bit.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah,
that laugh.
Always dealing with something.
Yeah.
And
but
so that was
that true? Like kind of always.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're very rarely going into the game like absolutely 100% like no problems.
Really?
Yeah.
And do you feel like that's across the board with?
Pretty much.
Really?
That I would imagine. I've heard athletes say this. Like I'm a big tennis fan. Rafael Nadal. He is always in pain. I mean, that dude has had more injuries than like, a whole city, like, and he said like, this is part of the game is pain management.
Yeah.
Wow.
And playing injured, that's part of the game.
Yeah. And it's a fine line of like, when to push, when to take the rest, when to, do whatever, when to take the meds, when to not take the meds.
Yes.
I mean, you don't want to be
factor
relying
that
on
in
them.
Like if it's a, like a Wednesday night,
Yep.
Kind of random game in Colorado, as you alluded to earlier, versus like World Cup. Do you factor that in there where you're like, well, if it's the World Cup, like that's the moment.
Yeah.
I'm going full tilt.
100%. We talked about the different options with doctors, but like, well, I don't really want you taking this now. Maybe, if this is the World Cup, then, or like same with injections, whatever it is. It's like, okay, I know I can play with this. Like, let's choose to medicate or do something when it really
are you ever
matters.
tempted to like fudge to the team doctors that you're hurting so you can play? Is that a thing?
I mean,
or do they know?
I think typically they know, and typically like I feel like if it's an injury where you actually can't play,
Yeah.
you know, you're gonna be like, okay, I can't do this. Like
My leg is going this
hamstring
way.
is torn. Like, I can't run. You know, like it doesn't matter if you shoot me up with something, I can't move.
I can't.
But if it's like, you know, a little tendonitis somewhere, or inflammation, or like whatever, then you're gonna.
That is
be able to play through
crazy.
it. Yeah.
That is just crazy. Do you think that keeps going with people that have played, or is that kind of a bait as you're playing, Dad?
I don't know. I'm hopeful that it'll go away once I'm done.
Yeah.
But I don't want to wish that away. I'll miss this pain one day. You know, like,
Sounds
man,
like a
I
great
wish.
country song, by the way.
Yeah, I wish my Achilles was still hurting. You know, while I could play soccer.
While you're mowing your
He's
yard.
like an old
Yeah.
friend, that pain.
Yeah.
So Sally, right? Your
Yes.
wife? Okay.
Yep.
How is she? This is also a question we love to ask athletes. Like, so let's say we just remember asking Kirk Cousins about this. This made me laugh so hard. So when you've had a game like last night,
Yep.
y'all win. Is she one like? Is she sort of reading the tea leaves on like, okay, they had a good game. Hubby's gonna come in. He's gonna be feeling good. Okay, they lost. Like, is there any sense
I think
of?
so.
Okay.
I think she's in tune with like how I'm feeling. I think most importantly, she probably cares most about how I play.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
I know,
Well said.
Which
well
I
said.
think like me, I'm caring more about did we win, like
Yeah.
more of a team
Yeah.
aspect. I think.
Oh, and then she's.
I think
more-
she's more of like, okay, well he lost, but he played well, or like he wasn't at fault. I think that's how she thinks. I could be
Wow.
wrong, but I think she's more concerned about like
That's an interesting.
trying
thing.
to read, am I upset, like based on like whether it's the team or my performance. But I think she probably cares more about my individual performance than I do.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
fascinating.
And I don't know if that's because maybe I come home in a different mood if I play bad versus.
But y'all won.
Yeah, you know, I think she might be in tune with that a little bit. But I mean, typically I'm pretty good about leaving all that behind me at the stadium, and when I come home, it's like that is behind me. You know,
Oh,
like
wow.
I'm moving on and focusing on what's next. So I think that's a perk. I mean, there are certainly times where I've gotten so mad in the game where I text her, I'm like, I'm going to be a little while.
Oh, what?
Like,
'Cause you
I need to calm down. I cannot calm down right
What
now.
do you do then? Like, what do you do to do that?
I'll be getting treatment. I'll be in the tubs doing some contrast, like ice bath. Maybe I eat there instead of bringing it home, just because I know like I'm not in a space where like does no good to bring this.
That's really wise.
this mood home to my family. It doesn't do anyone any good.
Wow.
So that's I'd say how I've matured lately is like, okay, I'm not in a space to come home yet
Yeah.
because I'm
Do
livid.
you come
Still
home
hot.
and talk about the game? Like after shows, Amy and my wife and I used to talk about every aspect.
Yeah.
And I was always like, all right, what was the best song and what was the worst
Yeah.
moment? Like we
I would
don't do
say-
that as much anymore, but do you guys do that?
I would say sometimes, but it's probably more rare. You know, if my parents are in town, that's a different story. They're breaking
Oh,
it down. My
wow.
mom's a huge soccer fan. She'll be talking about it for sure.
Your mom is.
Oh yeah, she is diehard.
No way.
Yeah, she's a huge soccer
And she
fan. She
has
probably
opinions.
watches more soccer than I do. She
Really?
watches all the MLS games. Yep, for sure.
For fun or for sort of like
For fun,
research?
I think for fun. She did
Wow.
for some research. So she actually wrote a soccer devotional book.
No way.
This past year, recently, kind of came out. It's called Play On. It's kind of loosely based on my soccer journey as a kid,
Wow.
and it is so well written, very
cool.
good. Great, great for your kids. Honestly, they would
I
love.
love that.
They
I
would
love
They
that.
would love the book. But it just takes everyone on a journey of like my upbringing through soccer, my faith journey.
Wow.
And it is fictionalized. But some characters are based on some of my friends growing up on my team, and
That is crazy.
it's really cool. But she loves it.
So that sort of leads to one of the last few questions here with kids, and this is again something I love hearing professionals speak to. You've done it, obviously. To your point, your mom writing the book about y'all growing up and doing that. How do you think about that with your kids? Like, if your son comes to you and he's like, I mean, granted, he'd be 5,
Right.
But like, and you see or let's say you can see like, oh, he's kind of got the spark.
Yeah.
Do you, from what you know in your life, how do you apply that to his?
It's a great question, and it's been fun because I approached it as like whatever his interests are, like I'm gonna help him like maximize those interests, and
Yeah.
like if he wants to play soccer, I will be there to help him train and do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to play music, I will invest in him playing music and giving him the best resources I can. I didn't push anything on him, and he loves sports.
Wow.
He loves kicking the ball in the goal in the backyard. He loves swinging the golf club, and he loves shooting baskets.
Wow.
And all he cares about are like, playing with sports, football, baseball, basketball, anything. Like that is his playtime. He's not the kid who's playing with trucks on the carpet or being in the makeup kitchen. It's like he wants to be active and playing sports.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's a lot for me, but I'm there. I'm playing sports with him. I'm out there helping him out. And I just think it's so funny that, people are probably like, oh, like, how'd you teach him how to kick the ball or anything? I'm like, I didn't teach him anything.
Wow.
Right.
Like he is a great mimicker. So, a great example of this is I took him to the putting green for the first time like months ago. And when you putt, you look down at your club and then you look to the left to the hole.
Yeah.
And then you look back at the ball and you putt. So then he was in the backyard a couple of days later, and he's taking his plastic golf club, and he's like moving his head all over the place, like looking left, looking right, and then back at the ball, and then swinging. And I'm like, who taught him to do that? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was me.
He saw
me putting on the putting green, looking at the hole a couple of times.
I like
it's like you're watching film of your putt.
Yes, and he's learning to do everything like by mimicking.
Yeah.
And so he loves watching videos of me or of himself playing sports.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like more Tucker, and it's like him kicking the ball in the goal or his golf swing. And so like I think he sees, what's going on in the video or live, and then he's amazing at mimicking it and actually has really good form with all of his sports.
Is there any have you thought about like when he gets a little bit older, there's kind of like the two routes that you can take.
Yeah.
You can be like, let's keep it fun, and then maybe when he gets, when he's 14 or whatever, and then we can get serious about it, or we can double down and really get him like the best coaches and the best everything.
I think from my experiences, I had so much fun playing all the other sports,
I love that. Yeah.
being around all my different friends from those different sports. I think sadly it is moving to a point where if they do want to play professionally, they're going to have to specialize a little earlier than I did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is the reality of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think it's truly just evaluating and having that pulse on, one, is he good enough? And I think thankfully, I'm going to be a very good evaluator of where he is.
Yeah.
Right.
Which will help, being able to be honest and be like, okay, you have what it takes. Or I think college is probably your limit, whatever it is.
Right.
So I think that's a great thing working in our favor, is that evaluation piece. And then too, like you mentioned, it's like, how much is it Tucker driven, or is it me driving the training?
That's wisdom.
If he's driving the training, again, I will be there. I will do everything I can.
Great. That's really
But I'm not going to be like, hey, have you done your reps today? Have you gone in the backyard? Let's go. Come on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Dad, can you kick with me? I'm there. So I think just keeping that perspective is going to be really helpful. And honestly, I think the great thing about it is I'm going to love him the same no matter what, whether he's a pro athlete or whether he's, using his talents to do something else. Like, I'm just going to support him and be there. And I think that's the most important thing.
I think of all the wisdom that I have gleaned from having people on this podcast has been the fact that we can't heal our kids. Like, our kids can't heal our wounds. And I don't think there is a greater place to see this on display than parents on the sidelines of sporting events who are yelling at their 6-year-old kid who's running the wrong way.
Yep.
And look good. And I'm like, bro,
yeah,
like, he can't. That's not this.
No, that's not developmentally appropriate at this point.
And it's just like, he's not going to fix what was wrong in you.
Yeah.
You're like, man, look, I don't know what happened back in '93, but it's over.
He's not going to do it.
Yeah. It can't hurt you
And
anymore.
so, I think there is this thing in every parent, and I mean, we talk about this so much, but I think sports are the magnifying glass. And I laugh for so long. I used to judge other parents. Like, literally, I would be the guy that'd be like, God, these crazy. And Ben, our kids, our boys love soccer, and Ben's good, and he plays, Noosa here in town. And I remember going to like the first game. It was like pretty competitive, and like, I mean, I'm getting there, and I'm like, putting a thing. I'm like feeling all Christian-y because I'm like, I'm just gonna be the sweet dad. And I mean, I was on my feet yelling in about 45 seconds, and I felt all of that energy in my body of like, you have to do this. And I was like, oh, wow. And I just felt like God was like, see, you've got it too. And so it's funny because as judgmental as I've been, when you get close to it, it is so hard to not feel. I love how articulately, boy, the irony there, that you said that, of being able to say, if he's driving it, I'm their support. But you don't want to, let's
Yep.
get our reps. Let's get,
Yep.
those are massive differences.
Huge differences.
Massive differences.
Yeah.
And you see so much. The thing that I've talked to a lot of my friends about, because we're trying to figure out how to navigate that, right? Like, how do you do the right amount with your kids and not push it too hard, but push them in appropriate ways, which I
Right.
think has got to be hard.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there were times, well, maybe not. You may be competitive enough that you came home and you were always like, we're going back.
Yeah, I mean, I was always outside wanting to get
You
the
were
extra
ready to
reps.
go.
And
Yeah.
It was not healthy. I'm sure doctors now would be like, you should not have been playing that much outside.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like with my brain, it's funny. My wife and I talk about it a lot. And like my biggest challenge as a human is slowing down.
Wow.
And like
Yeah.
being like thoughtful.
Yeah.
Because I'm like such a 7 on an Enneagram. Like I'm chasing the most fun thing
All the time.
at that exact moment.
Yeah.
And everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so for me, a lot of that means like my life is moving very fast.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, I have 5 seconds. Like, let me play a game on my phone. Like I got to win. Oh, I lost. Oh, I'm on a winning streak. I got to keep going.
Yeah,
Like very addictive personality
Yeah.
to fun.
Yes,
And
same.
so it's really hard for me to like slow down, be quiet,
Yeah.
find peace, be
Yeah.
restful. So those are things that like it's good to recognize in myself. So then if I can see those trends happening in my kids, I can hopefully steer it in a little bit of a
Yes.
more positive direction.
So how did becoming a dad hit you? Because I think for a lot of people,
Well, one is not fun for one.
it's not
So
fun
for
for
an
a
Enneagram
lot.
7, you're like,
Yeah, because it brings your whole world
Yeah.
to a screeching halt. Like in one way, as you were talking earlier, I was thinking, I bet becoming a dad for someone like you who is so just like in lockstep with sacrifice,
Yep.
for what you've had to sacrifice for your goals, it's like maybe becoming a dad would just be like this new thing. And it's like, yeah, well, we have to, we can't do this because I'm a dad now. Fine. Like, this is just what I have to sacrifice. But what you're saying now makes me feel like it probably was maybe a challenge.
Definitely more of a challenge. I think like dying to your selfish desires as a
Yeah.
dad is probably the hardest thing,
Yeah.
because I'm like, what is going to help out Sally and the baby right now? Or like, it's probably being at home and supporting, but it's
Yeah.
like, oh, but like the guys, it's our off day and they've been planning this golf for like 2 weeks. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I really should, I want to go,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I can't.
Uh-huh.
And on the flip side of that, I think what Sally and I worked on the most in the past year is that's still okay for me to want to do those things and to also get the opportunity to do them.
Yeah.
So how do we schedule it in
Yeah.
a way that she feels seen and taken care of, but I also am not like stifling that down and shutting out like that desire that fills me up and gives
Right.
me energy of like
Yeah.
hanging out with friends and
And then
spending
you're
time with
growing
them.
resentful.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that has been the biggest challenge I would say that we've had since kids is trying to navigate like I'm such an extrovert, she's more of an introvert. How can I still fill myself up with friends while also making sure that I'm like being intentional at home?
Yeah.
Is that a tricky thing? You said this at the beginning of the podcast. Like, is that tricky because you do enjoy what you do for a living, but it's not all you enjoy for a living?
Yeah.
So what would be tricky, I'm seeing, is that she's like, okay, you're home, and you're like,
Yep.
okay, so yes, I love soccer.
Yep.
I love we had a really fun practice today or whatever. Still would love to maybe go hit some balls with the guys.
Yeah. I think the hardest part is like a lot of my job, it can be seen from the lens of like, well, you're having fun. Like, oh, you were at a camp for 2 weeks getting to like be training and like playing cards and like, getting a golf round in with all your friends on the national team. Like, what do you mean you don't get to do anything fun? I'm like, oh, but that's work.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I'm also like, okay, I'm also new to like Nashville still, or like I want to spend time with my friends here. But
Yeah.
the problem is
Yeah.
I've been gone for half the month
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Right.
That I feel the pressure of being a good dad, being a good husband is to be at home.
Yeah.
But again, you mentioned that resentful piece of like, yeah, but I also like, I want to get to know people on a really deep personal level here that are my friends. I feel like I don't have the time to do that. And so I think honestly, the best thing we've done is like scheduling out things where she knows, oh, there is a date night plan this month. Oh, there is a golf outing plan
Yeah,
this month.
so she can see it. Yeah.
So like I feel taken care of, and then I also get to,
Yeah.
hang out with those friends.
Yeah.
There, I don't know if there were many things that bit me in the rear as an Enneagram 7 than when we had our first kid. And I did such a bad job of navigating my wants because I was like, I said, I'm terrible. She just had a baby, Dave. Like, you stay home. And we would get in fights because I just wouldn't be honest. And I
Yep.
love that you're
Yep.
saying that. I had to learn. I mean, that sounds crazy.
It took
but
a while for me too.
It was really hard for me to be like, hey, because I'd feel so guilty. Like I'd come to her and be like, hey, the guys are all seeing a movie tonight.
And it's so funny the way you ask it too.
No,
I just want you to know the sacrifice that I'm making.
Look.
So my version of that was my wife is an 8, so she is a BS detector.
Yeah.
If you are mildly lying, she can tell. And I would come and be like, oh, she's like, what's up? The guys are going to see a movie tonight, and they want me to come. I don't know, babe. I want to be here with you and the baby who's not sleeping in crown all the time. Yeah. But they want me there. And she was like, and she'd be like, I mean, I was in trouble immediately. She'd be like, what? And finally, what I had, literally therapy taught me this. I have to come in and go, like, open the door. Hey, the guys are going to see the new Indiana Jones, and I really want to go see it. And she'd be like, well, that's going to put me to bind. I'd be like, stay strong, babe. Yeah, it will. She'd be like, okay. And I was like, oh. But it was like, I was so bad at that. Yeah. I couldn't do it. And even now, like 17 years
you come in, you give her a hug from behind. You're like, hey,
you're so pretty.
And she already knows. She already knows.
She knew immediately. Yeah. Okay, so, John, take us to the end of this thing.
Right, we're going to end with a lightning round here. And so this is not going to be Dave on speed lightning round that lasts 18 minutes. This is actually a lightning round, just a couple questions. I'll go with the first one. You have to play another sport professionally. What's
golf.
That other sport?
Wow.
We got this. This is lightning.
I'm going to get dialed.
Can you tell me what I feel like every athlete would say that. Why is that?
Yeah, I do feel that. It's probably because it's the sport you can play where you don't have to worry about breaking your arm.
And, you get to play it while you're playing your current sport.
Yeah.
And I think it's also a lifelong sport that you can actually work on
so
the rest of your life.
That.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I don't know what is so addictive about it. I think it's like that feeling of, like, I've hit shots that are as good as what pros have hit. Mm-hmm. Why can I not replicate it every single time? It is like, I've made this putt before. I've hit this drive before. I've hit this cut. Like, I've done everything. Why can't I do it all in one round?
Yeah.
And so I think that for an athlete is like super addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
now, is there any part of what you just said that applies to your soccer game? Or are you like, no, when it comes to soccer, I am a machine?
I mean, I feel like, I feel pretty confident that like I can go out and replicate in any given like game and have almost a perfect game. Like, it is possible. Mm-hmm. It's maybe not going to happen, but I do feel the same way of like, why couldn't I go like 100 over 100 in my passes today?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I feel like I've done all of those things before.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do two more. Do two more. This is my favorite question maybe the whole day. Gary Smith comes to you. Mm-hmm. Says, sit down, Walker. You say, what's up? He's like, listen. Tonight you can play any position you want.
Oh, my gosh. This is an absolute dream.
What do you tell him?
I think he doesn't even have to sit me down. He knows prior to asking the question that I am a 9 at heart. I want to score goals more than anyone else on the field. I promise. Like, I love that feeling.
Amazing.
I will chase that feeling forever.
So that's good to know as a fan. So when you're playing, you really want to score.
Oh, yeah. Every single time.
And so when you score, it is.
Yes.
That is amazing.
I'm glad you said that because before I ask this very last question, I did ask my daughter, Livy, who you just met.
Oh, my gosh. So cute.
I told her that I was going to interview you today, and I said, what question should I ask him? And she said with such sweet earnestness, she just said, wait, where did I put it? She said, from Liv, how does he feel when he scores a goal and everyone cheers for him? That was the question.
I mean,
it's so
honestly,
sweet.
half the time I literally black out. Like most people, like they'll have their goal celebrations planned. I could have one planned. It doesn't matter. I'm like just in a whole nother reality. Running to the corner flag, screaming my head off.
Because there really isn't any other, like, take any other sport. Like in tennis, like you hit a winner or you hit an ace. That might happen 30 times in a match. Yeah. Like, if you score a goal, that might be the only goal that is scored in 90 minutes.
For sure. Yeah. And as a defender, like...
Oh, yeah, that's a big deal.
You're looking, if you're lucky, you're getting 4 goals, 5 goals a season.
That actually makes watching y'all's games that much more fun now. Because I'm like, he's up there.
Honestly, I need to start wearing my Whoop for games just so I can put it on my bicep instead of my wrist because we can't wear it on a wrist. Just to see the heart rate when... I did wear it in like a training camp and like the numbers were insane.
I bet it was
but I really want to
hysterical.
see what happens like in that moment when you score a goal.
Your doc is like, we lost you for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Your heart stopped. Your eyes rolled back. You were gone.
Yeah, what happened in 67th minute there? Yeah.
Like Jesus is like, bro, this isn't time. Like, sorry, I just scored.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
back down. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right, John, take us
All right, very last question here. If you had to write a book on fatherhood, what would the title be?
I mean, you're just gonna throw that on me as if
Yep.
I can come up
Yeah,
with a
you gotta do
perfect
it right
answer
now. You gotta do it
right now.
Right now.
A book on fatherhood. Probably just. I mean, it sounds so cheesy now. I'm just trying to think of something like how to be there for your kids.
Yeah. I like that.
mean, I don't know what the clever punchline is, but
Yeah.
something about just like doing every dad would do anything for their kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just trying to get that message across, like that should be normal, that should be the expectation,
Well said.
is important to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So something along those lines.
Yeah.
Nice.
Look at that. Come on, Walkey Zim Zim.
Yeah.
Dude,
Walkey
this was
Zim Zim.
great, man. This was
Thank
really,
you
really
a
fun.
million times.
This has been Walkey Zim Zim over and out.